Oh yeah, this is Jay Prince all the way from H-Town, sitting here with the homie Chuck, the owner of allhiphop.com, #1.
Well, first thing I want to say, appreciate you, Mr. Jay Prince. Thank you for joining us at All Hip Hop. My name's Chuck Creekmur. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the company. And, I just want to say, first of all, like, you definitely inspired All Hip Hop. When I was younger, I remember you said something along the lines, they disrespect us because we black owned, we won't sell out. Yeah. That was on, I think, Do It Like a Geo. Right. Yeah, from the Ghetto Boys. And those words like really stuck with me from the get-go. Right. So this is our 20th year in business. So, we definitely salute you for your efforts. Now, as we get going with this interview, there's a big elephant in the room, and I was going to put the elephant in the middle of the interview.
Right.
But I figured we should just get the whole thing out the way.
Let's deal with the elephant.
Deal with the elephant.
Yeah, direct.
Right. So the whole beef, Pusha T, Drake. People should know by now that Drake is signed to your son, Jazz, or he's signed to you.
Well, Drake is signed, to Cash Money, Young Money, Universe. All of us are partners.
Okay.
Yeah.
But your son discovered him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody is a bit anxious around hearing this diss that was recorded, or I heard filmed, but you pulled the plug on it.
Right.
As a fan of hip hop, I want to hear it myself.
Yeah.
What was the ultimate reasons and continued reasons for not putting that out there?
Well, first of all, I hadn't heard about it being recorded or filmed.
Okay.
But I do know about the ingredients that was in the song. I do know about him moving forward to bring that to fruition.
Okay.
But my reasons for pulling the plug and having that conversation with him to pull the plug was simply because it crossed the line of music. You know what I mean? That's a song, I'm sure everybody heard it by now, that's disrespecting Drake mama, his daddy, his friend that's sick, 40, you know what I mean? And that crosses the line of music.
Yeah. Do you feel like lyrically, because there have been a lot of beefs, including obviously Tupac and Big, which didn't stay on wax, but others that have, and Pusha has maintained it would indeed stay on record. Does that not matter, or is it just the lyrics were just going too far?
Yeah, it just went too far, and when it go there, you know what I mean, that's a situation where people are angered, feel some kind of way, and it's easy to escalate into other areas.
Right.
And not only that, from a business perspective, for Drake to have to go somewhere out of his character to do what I know what he was about to do to Kanye, and both of them would have been damaging. You know what I mean? And I spoke with Kanye.
Right.
So Kanye, he explained to me, man, I'm a family man, and I don't want this either. And me and Kanye got a history through my guy Mike Dean.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who produced and engineered for Kanye. And when I analyzed everything and summed everything up, my conversation with Drake is, this just ain't worth it. This ain't what we do.
Now, in the book I read, you talk a lot about money being a motivator in a lot of ways. There's other motivators too, not to ignore those spiritually and such. But was that ultimately it? Did you feel like it could mess up the money?
Well, it would be hard for me to sit here and not think about business along my decision making. But at the top of the line, what it got outside of music. You know what I mean? So it just don't, here it is, you're dealing with an issue that becomes, real personal to the extent where you're hurting family members, you know what I mean? You're affecting friends, you're affecting a lot of different feelings and emotions where people are concerned. And now it come time for you to answer, which requires you to get in the pig pen and get low down and dirty, you know what I mean, with this man, and you're gonna hurt his situation. And the ingredients that I heard, you know what I mean, him having on poor Kanye, you know what I mean, you know, Kanye good people, you know what I mean, a lot of people criticize him, but you know, our conversation, he made it real clear to me, man, I'm a family man.
Right.
You know?
Right. So Kanye would have suffered pretty heavily too.
Oh, you know, no doubt about it. And Pusha and his family would have as well, you know, because, you know, getting in the pig pen requires getting dirty, right? And that ain't what Drake do. Drake is not often to, you know, destroying and hurting people's livelihood. You know what I mean? That ain't how we got where we are.
Now on the flip side, just playing, I hate the word devil's advocate, but I'll say it. He adjusted Meek Mill's career, for example.
Yeah. Well, that was foul ground. You know, you know what I mean? That's him and Meek, right?
Right.
It'll be like me and you having a fight. You know what I mean? That's one-on-one.
Right.
But I ain't gonna go knock your mama teeth out of my mouth, and when I see your daddy, I'm gonna click on your daddy and all them kind of people. You know what I mean? If he'd have whooped Drake, you know what I mean, on a level playing field, you know what I mean? I'm gonna be like, Drake, you get back at his ass.
Right.
You know what I mean? Time to go to work. But I know what's gonna take place, you know what I mean, going here. It ain't good personally or business.
Right. Last comment on this, or question. What do you say to people who say Drake called his, you know, his OG, his, you know, his big brother, or, you know, called in for backup to get him out of a situation? Because the diss was, it was ignorant as anything that's ever been put out in hip-hop. And most people say it deserved a response, especially if somebody disrespects my mom, you know, like you kind of have alluded to, something's got to happen.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I have a real clear understanding about individuals when the elevator only go up so high. You know what I mean? The elevator short circuit on the third, second floor, and that's far as they can see. You know what I mean? They don't mind seeing some killing. They don't mind going to funerals. They just want to see a bloodbath. You know what I mean? They just want to see entertainment. So you have to understand, you know, where they coming from, as well as where Pusha coming from with his lyrics that he delivered, you know, and me coming from all of those places and knowing how to adjust to all of those places, you know what I mean? We can live with the decision we made because we know that we're about a movement and not a moment.
Okay, all right, impressive. It's about the war, not the battle. So I get it. All right, so let's move on to this book, The Art and Science of Respect. It's been a long time coming for me. Not like I didn't really think you would ever write a book, to be honest with you.
Me either.
What made you put it down in such a grand fashion? I mean, it's art-wise it's beautiful, and also inside it's color pictures, you know, hardbound, you know, all the works. Yeah,
well, I give a lot of this credit to the team I work with, you know what I mean? Julie, P, and a variety of others, Vivian, you know what I mean? They helped me look good.
Right.
So I give credit to that. But, you know, I wanted to share this book for a variety of reasons. You know, this is my biography of the life that I live. And I've lived what I call a pretty successful life. And there's so many others that, you know, always coming to me for advice and want to know the different roadmaps and the different ingredients that I use to do what I've done. So I had opportunity to share my blueprint, to share my faith, to share my wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, to you know, how I journeyed through this life of chaos.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's full of, you know, my beginnings, you know, my wins, my losses, and everything that happened in between. And if I had access to something like this when I started, then it's just not, it ain't no telling how many more millions I would have.
Right.
You know what I mean? I could have, you know, I could have been way ahead of the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a strong statement.
Yeah.
How difficult was it to write the book itself, considering your background, considering sort of even the code that some of us follow in terms of not saying too much? Almost a lot of times, you know, in hip hop, people incriminate themselves or others now.
Well, that wasn't hard for me because, you know, I lived this life that I wrote about, and I was only able to write about this and stay free because I have a certain amount of sense, you know what I mean, to know how to avoid, you know, the booby traps and obstacles that was before me. So I was real conscious of what I said, you know, even to the extent where I had people to double and triple check to make sure I wasn't leaving no doors open.
Right.
So this is, I hope they won't try to make nothing out of something, but you know, a lot of times they do. And that has happened in my life over and over again, but you know, no weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. You talk about spirituality, God, a lot in this book. Yeah. Was that important to you to convey that to youth or people in general? Why did God have such a strong presence in the book?
Well, you know, I feel sorry for a man who, you know, lived his life and don't know and understand the power of God and prayer. You know what I mean? I couldn't have done and been who I am today without that. So that was my source of power that I tapped into that caused me to not have any fear along the journey. You know what I mean? Once you have fear for God, then you become fearless of everything when you really understand that. And that's my foundation, you know what I mean? I was introduced to him at a tender age of 8 years old, and even though, you know, it's so real with God, even though you choose to do some of everything, you know what I mean, it don't mean you have to lose your connection with God, you know what I mean? That's how you come back around. And that's what I was able to do, you know, the whole journey, you know what I mean? Sometimes, forgive me, Lord, all the time, you know what I mean? But crown my head full of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding so I can do better.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about Rap-A-Lot Records. You know, as I've stated before, Rap-A-Lot was a huge inspiration for me. I'm originally from Delaware, believe it or not. Yeah, so I wasn't in New York City at that time, but a lot of the themes in the early Ghetto Boys recordings were inspirational to me, particularly around you guys actually rallying sort of against New York is a strong word, but really saying, hey, we're doing something here too. Right. You know, which is something that I felt where I was. Yeah. You personally, you know, obviously that was the artists, Willie D, Ghetto, you know, Scarface, Bushwick, and even the earlier ones. But talk a little bit about what got you from the streets to recording to starting an empire.
Okay. Of course, Rap-A-Lot, I started that because of my brother. His name was Sir Rap-A-Lot. Right. You know, that was one of the reasons that I started, and it was based on him staying out of the street. Okay. You know, he used to rap in my ear all day, every day, while I was hustling. I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna give you something to do, because you ain't really made to be out here, you know what I mean, hanging with the wolves. Right. So you go and do you. I'm gonna support that. And that's how everything begun. And of course, you know, during the journey, he ended up getting like 20-something years and had to leave. And you know, I was left with a couple other members, and you know, I wanted to keep my word with them, and I did. And you know, at that stage, I was investing in everything they wanted to do. Y'all want to do it y'all way.
Right.
About 2 or 3 different groups. I'm spending money, try it, because everybody say they know how to do it, right? So after reality had came in, you know, after losing money, losing, you know, I came to the point, I actually came to New York for, like a couple weeks, because I had moved my company in New York.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that.
I saw that.
Yeah, I moved it to New York, and when I came in for a couple weeks, I had opportunity to go in the office with Leo Cohen and observe their movement, what they're doing, and then I saw checks, you know, LL Cool J checks, 6-figure checks, and you know what I mean, I had never really looked at it from that perspective, and that changed my whole thing. I'm like, whoa, these boys making serious money, and then I'm analyzing what's happening, and then I realize I'm like, oh, y'all trying to be like New Yorkers, you know what I mean, y'all imitating and want to sound like New Yorkers. So I had a meeting, and you know, I explained to them, this is my last piece of money, and I'm going to do this my way. I'm going to write down rhymes, and well, I'm going to write down stories. I want y'all to make them rhyme. You know what I mean? We're going to be real Southern ghetto boys at this point. And that caused problems with the members, because they told me, they like, man, you too deep. You know what I mean? You too deep. Ain't nobody going. I'm like, well, I see what y'all trying to do. You know, I didn't live this that y'all trying to talk about, and I don't believe it coming from y'all. So here's some real ingredients where you can have a real song, make it rhyme. So that they wasn't feeling that, so I got rid of all of them. You know what I mean? I say at this point, y'all go y'all way, I'm gonna go my way, and that's what brought about me researching the city of Houston and coming up with Scarface, Willie D, and Bushwick. Yeah.
Now, Willie D, I've interviewed him a few times. Actually, both of them, Scarface, Willie D. Never interviewed Bushwick, but I've met him. And Willie D said y'all were very similar. Is that accurate?
Well, I mean, I could agree with that if he feel that way. You know what I mean? I don't know what way he's saying it, but he's from Fifth Ward. You know what I mean? I'm from Fifth Ward. Willie D a Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio. So there's some similarities. You know what I mean? And something else, Willie D wasn't scary. You know what I mean? When I came to Willie D with a message that, you know, others may be like, whoa, you want us to say this? Willie D was always down, let's ride. So, yeah.
What was it about the others, Bushwick and Scarface, that, you know?
Well, they had 3 different personalities. Scarface, you know, he had a voice, and he could write as well. You know what I mean? He came from a dope dealing perspective. And Bushwick, you know, he was different. You know, I always liked to have something different. When I was in high school, I bought a 1950 Chevy 4-door and sit out on the parking lot like a Sothorn, because I wanted to be different. I didn't want to ride with nobody else. So I viewed Bushwick as being different, something that would draw attention, something that would even inspire the midgets and the dwarfs. And he was crazy. You know what I mean? So all of that, you know, made a good formula for the ghetto boys.
How did you manage to keep them together for so long? As you've noted in the book, each one they were basically, I'll just say, very different, and their backgrounds had actually, you know, straight up like trauma, depression. I mean, it was a lot going on. Bushwick dealt with a lot of alcohol issues, and yet and still you seem to almost be the glue that kept that together.
Yeah. You know, I have a special gift where that's concerned, and you know, I used to pick them up in the morning and drop them off, put them to sleep damn near every night. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I was trying to build something, so I had to pump, you know, my blood into their heart. You know what I mean? They love rap enough to show up, but it was something that all of them didn't really believe would be successful. You know what I mean? But they had enough sense and enough heart to show up and that's all I needed them to do.
Yeah.
And from that, you know, I micromanaged those personalities, and they had respect for me, and through those combinations, we was able to do what we done.
With regard to the album cover, "We Can't Be Stopped," whose call was that? Now,
You know, and I've heard the way they blame me for that, right?
Okay.
You know, I heard that, but that was a call that we all made.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I know it was raw and uncut.
Yeah.
And I don't know who came up with the idea. I don't recall me, but I take the blame. You know what I mean? We rolled Bushwick out of Bentab, the hospital, and bam, you know what I mean? Live and in living color. There it is.
Yeah, that's probably top 2.
Yeah.
It's definitely the most shocking album cover in hip hop, for sure.
I mean, you know, that's what we done. That's what we was about, you know, being a mirror to everything that was raw and uncut that went on in the hood.
Yeah, for sure. The Ghetto Boys also encountered different members, I think a total of 9, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember it being that many, but everybody claimed to be one at some point.
How you know, do you feel like the best, do you have an opinion on which version of the Ghetto Boys was the best?
Yeah, the ones that didn't quit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The ones that, you know, kicked the doors open. You know, those are the ones I consider Ghetto Boys.
Right.
All that other was tribes.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just the way it is, you know. They tried out, they didn't last, they fell off, and the real, you know what I mean, we done some damage together.
How was it tackling censorship? Like, you know, people don't remember now, there was a period in hip hop where you couldn't say what you wanted to say without being attacked. You know, people like Tipper Gore and even C. Dolores Tucker, Calvin Butts, PMRC, like a lot of people don't remember that. But you guys were like right on the front lines, along with like Luke, Ice-T, and others who, and I mean, you guys even lost your deal, so to speak, with Geffen. Behind that, the you know, the big, well, for me that was the big album.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's like, it's kind of revolutionary.
Yeah. You know, that's why I think that was part of the reason that went into We Can't Be Stopped. You know what I mean? And that's because of all the obstacles, you know what I mean? They was after us, you know what I mean? We couldn't get radio for a period of time. We couldn't get video for a period of time. So, you know, one of my things that I done was I specialize in controversy. I specialize in saying that they didn't expect us to say. I specialize in being a voice for ghettos all around the world to expose, you know what I mean, and put a spotlight on police corruption, whatever was going wrong in the hood. You know, I felt like it was our job to expose.
Yeah, now for me, I mean, I listened to not just the Ghetto Boys, but a lot of the other ones too, you know, Gangsta Nip and the Terrorists, OG Style, and a lot of them had political songs too. Yeah. Like you said, Alda Delaney. Like I'm like, who is this? Like I didn't even know who she was. Right. I ended up like just a few years ago. I said, oh my God, it's the 30th anniversary or 20th or something of Alda Delaney. I'm trying to scramble to get interviews and stuff, but I learned a lot of that stuff through the Ghetto Boys music and others too, like Gangsta Nip and all of them really. Right. But again, it was an underlying politicism that people didn't necessarily gravitate to like I did, I know, but it was there. Oh, yeah. Like City Under Siege and records like that. Were you conscious of that? Was this something that you guys did on purpose, or?
Yeah, very conscious of it. I initiated a lot of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I come up with the subject matters on everybody that had something against what we were doing, and even those that didn't. You know what I mean? I remember the song, you know, Fuck a War.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's strictly out of my head because I almost went to war. I almost became a Marine. Right. You know what I mean? And it was that mentality where I said, no. And we know the lyrics of that song, you know, and that's not patriotic,
Right.
you know what I mean? But that's how we felt.
Right.
So it came out that way, and that's the way I feel about a war today.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, of course. And, you know, we go to war disproportionately than other people. Yeah. What would you say is your biggest accomplishment?
I'll say my biggest accomplishment is my family. You know what I mean? My kids, my family. You know, I can't even think of anything I could top that with.
Right.
You know, family, kids, friends. My biggest accomplishment.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you mention Jay Prince, when people mention Jay Prince, people are afraid. They mention fear.
Yeah.
Can you explain, if you have any idea, why are people afraid of you? I put it on Facebook. I'm interviewing you.
Yeah.
And somebody had the nerve to say, you're more feared than the police.
Oh wow.
And I said, honestly, I said, you can't be
Yeah.
serious, not in this day and age.
Yeah.
You know, I hadn't heard that so much in my life
Mm-hmm.
since I've, you know, been on this tour. You know, I'm like hearing it over and over again. I think the fear comes from not knowing me. You know what I mean? And that's part of the reason it's important to get this book and read about me. You'll have opportunity to see how I was glued together. You know what I mean? You're gonna have opportunity to decide if you want my glory, because it's my story. You know, a lot of people want your glory but don't want your story. So, you know, and I think all of that's gonna give one a different perspective of who I am, but, you know, or maybe it can be because I'm a stand-up type of guy. You know, I'm not naive to the fact that I've had some different wars maybe they heard about, and they may not have been pretty. So therefore, that can have effect on the view of what someone would have of you. So I don't know.
Okay.
I'd rather be loved.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you are. I definitely believe that. Yeah. But perception-wise, you know, it just gets, you know, it's like if you punch somebody in the face, your reputation might lead the way sometimes.
Right.
I have a rumor question for you. Now, I don't deal with rumors much,
Yeah.
but I gotta ask you this one.
Yeah.
On a song called "Actions Speak Louder Than Words,"
Right.
you make a comment. I don't want to say the full comment,
Yeah.
but you reference world-class wrecking crew person disrespecting some real soldiers. You remember saying
Wait a
that?
minute, I wrote the song.
You didn't write the song. You made a comment in the song. It was on Gangsta Nip's album.
I don't remember
You
that.
remember
one,
saying
man.
that?
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm trying to remember where I was coming
You
from.
can see how big a fan I am.
Yeah, world class wrecking fruit. Ain't that is that Dre them out there? Something world class?
Yeah, that's what I'm. That's where I'm going with it.
You know, I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't know what mind frame I was in. I can't recall Dre them doing something to me to make me go off on them that way, but I don't know.
I've asked Gangsta Nip.
What did he say?
No one will answer the question. That's why I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
You know, I have to listen to it. I need to hear that song, and I probably can go there when I hear it.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna have to circle back with Julia and see what the deal is. But it always made me wonder if there was any issues between the Ghetto Boys and NWA, because the similarities to some were there, and then you guys started popping, and they had songs like "Want to Be Like Us," "Sound Like Us," "Dress Like Us," and I didn't know, you know, there was no social media then.
Yeah, no, I never recall like any animosity there or any lines crossed whatsoever.
But you did get a beat from Dre for free in this book. It mentions
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
that. Has anybody ever gotten a beat for free?
don't think so. You know, Dre showed love in the midst of not showing up
right
on that situation. I
right.
talk about it in that book.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I mean,
yeah.
I really can't wait for people to get into the book, because there's a lot of little nuggets in the book, and the chapters are short, so you're like boom, boom, you're getting to the point, but like I said, it's a great read. Now, one thing you do in this book, and I was a little shocked at this. You called Suge Knight a clown.
Yeah.
Now, the context, I get it. Do you want to explain sort of what the surrounding context was?
Yeah. No. That's the way I feel. You know what I mean? I feel like he made a lot of clown moves. You know what I mean? And I said what I felt.
Yeah.
You know, matter of fact, everybody can see it. You know what I mean? It's no secret that Suge made a lot of clown moves. You know what I mean? To be in a position like he was in, and to observe it going to waste.
Right.
That's clown behavior to me. So I said it. Yeah.
Was there any truth to the rumor that you, Suge, and Irv Gotti were trying to start a distribution company?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. Can you talk about that? Because most people don't know that, and at this point, you know what? I'm gonna take that back. What I was gonna say was, at this point, distribution is I'll say it's different than it was back then, but distribution is still extremely important.
Right.
It's just a changed platform.
Yeah.
But can you talk about that? What made you want to do that, and the difficulties?
Yeah, we were brainstorming. We had a meeting in Hollywood. We was all in powerful positions back then, and we decided we wanted to start our own black-owned distribution company to help some of the upcoming artists not be caught up in a lot of politics and different things that we had to deal with. And of course, in the midst of having that idea, the feds hit Suge, the feds hit Murder Inc., and they hit me. And I can't say it wasn't connected.
Well, I definitely felt it was always connected. Yeah, definitely. Of the three, you were the only one that came out of that, I won't say unscathed, but you definitely survived more so than the others, and we can see what happened with Suge for sure.
Yeah.
Irv is working his way back.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about your fight with the feds? It's outlined in the book as well.
Yeah. My fight with the feds has been, an ongoing situation for a lot of years. You know what I mean? It started with HPD, and then it started going over to all kinds of alphabets. All the alphabets was at my throat, and they went at me for a while, and then they turned the flame all the way up. You know what I mean? They hired a hitman, a guy that killed 8 people, and then his sidekick, Chad Scott. You know what I mean? They cut him loose in my hood, and they railroad. They left a trail of blood. You know what I mean? For their gangster crookedness, corrupting, taking dope, taking money, you know what I mean? Threatening people, taking jewelry, setting up people, putting dope, you know what I mean, in a situation that wasn't even discussed. So, they went on this thing, and of course, we end up having somewhat of a collision one night that I felt that they were trying to pull me in the dark to gun me down. And at that point, I took their threats a little more serious. They were sending me threats through different people, but when they pulled me over in that dark, then I'm like, oh, y'all was trying to pull me in that dark and do something to me, right? So at that point, I wanted to document that. I went to my attorney. I said, man, what can I do to really document that I'm in fear of my life? Because I feel like I'm gonna have to protect myself from these guys, and that's when I was able to get some referral to Maxine Waters.
Right.
And of course, she done what she did to get Janet Reno on board, and I had a meeting in Washington, D.C. with the head of all the Alphabet Boys. And you know, some of my first words that came out of my mouth was, I'm in fear of my life.
Right.
Why y'all, you asked me why, I said, y'all got a hitman on me. Of course, they got upset about my statement.
Right.
But I had, at that time, I hadn't done a full-blown investigation. And through investigating these officers, I found out that this man had killed, you know what I mean, this amount of people. I found out that his lieutenant that he was under, you know, he gave us a statement saying the man killed 5 people or something under him, and he always questioned the deaths.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he didn't leave these people around to talk about it.
Right.
You know, he said they were strange. So he said he never trusted them. So, you know, along with a whole lot of other people we investigated.
Right.
So, you know, I was convinced at that point it's a hitman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I asked them, I said, well, if y'all got a better name for him, then y'all tell me a better name to use. They didn't have one. And at that time, you know, Mix Waters, she spoke, and she told him, you know, I find it highly unusual for an officer to use his weapon this many times. You know what I mean? And nobody, probably all the way up to date, you know what I mean, know of an officer using his weapon with killings that many times.
Right.
So this dude might have a Hall of Fame record.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, you know, to bring this to an end, recently, 2-3 weeks ago, the FBI, DEA, all of them reaching out to me because one of the guys retired. The other one has been indicted on 13 counts of some of the very things that I was telling them about over a decade ago.
Right.
So now the very people who was after me is coming to me to assist them. They want some of that information that I gave them a long time ago on what he was doing. They trying to arrest him themselves now.
Well, that's ironic.
Yeah. Beautiful movie, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Real life.
Wow, that's crazy. Would you ever do a movie on your life?
Oh yeah, that's something that we're gonna work on. Yeah.
Okay. I talked to I think it was Scarface. He wasn't trying to do it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously that wouldn't be your life, but he was like, NWA did that already. I don't. Yeah.
You know, sometimes you have to open up another brain cell and face head to explain it to him differently. You know.
Right.
And he'll be on board.
Definitely. You know, do you? You know, I'm not trying not to be too racial here, but you know, as a black man in business, I'll just say it. As a black man in business, you encounter a different set of obstacles than your average everyday person. You've never rapped, you've never played basketball, or you might have played some ball back in the day, but career-wise, you've never done any of that. Can you talk about some? I mean, this is like what you just mentioned is remarkable. Like most people can't fathom that, and we know if there's something to be found on somebody, they find it, or it gets made. You know, something's gonna stick.
Right.
How would you say you've survived this far in life and business?
Well, you know, they actually planted and done a lot of things. I had many charges. I probably had more charges than one person. You know what I mean? I done had like 12 felony charges or something against me that I had to beat in some capacity, or got dismissed or whatever. So, you know, I understand that racism movement that goes on with the police department. I understand that movement, you know, when I was getting kicked out of a lot of different buildings because they didn't like the way we dressed. Or they didn't like the way we, you know what I mean? It was a struggle even building my company, renting from people. You know what I mean? It was always something they didn't like. So ultimately I had to buy my own building. you know, have our own space, buy my own studio. And, you know, these are things that are real life situations. I ride through the hood, they don't like the way we ride. Or they don't like the way some of the homies riding that they arrested years ago and now they making more money than them. So the larceny, the jealousy, you know, with the police, you know, it turns it up. They're like, yeah, he was just on the corner. How he living like that? You know what I mean? They don't like their women being taken from them. You know, that thing goes so deep, man. I've witnessed it from so many different perspectives until I just learned how to deal with it. You know what I mean? It's I became almost immune to, you know, that situation because my mind was so strong on accomplishing my goal and what I had in front of me until it didn't matter. You know.
In the book, you actually show your goals handwritten, and a lot of handwritten notes, and that to me is dope because you actually accomplished pretty much all of them, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's why I tell a lot of the young people, I'm like, man, I'm glad I grew up before the smartphones were really popping, because it's something about writing things down. And also, it's a distraction tool too. What do you teach your kids now about business?
Well, you know, my kids, I had them right there watching me along the journey, you know what I mean? And I was explaining to them as I went along my journey. So, you know, more is caught than taught. You know what I mean? They're gonna go by what they see over what you tell them. And they had the best of both worlds. You know, so I was the example before them, and you know, I'm here for them right today. So they really don't have an excuse to not make it.
Does Jazz, does he remember those darker times? Does he recollect those?
Yeah, Jazz remember it very well. That was a part of him seeking out Drake when he did, because he was educated about a buzz. And when he looked and saw that Drake was buzzing, all of that aligned with his teaching. And he used that word, you know, he buzzing that. I was like, whoa, he buzzing? Okay, let's do something about that. Yeah.
So have y'all gotten all your money from Baby and Cash Money yet?
No, that ain't happened yet. That's an ongoing situation, but it's in a good place. It's in a better place than it was, because now I'm communicating with the top, you know, executives over at Universal. And I hope they do right by us, and we'll be done with that before the year's out.
I know Baby and people like Master P looked up to you. Are you guys all on good terms now, or is it still some friction there?
Yeah, well, I ain't never been on bad terms with Master P. You know what I mean? That's the homie, Master P, Tony Draper. You know, and I still consider Baby them. You know what I mean? Them the homies. But they got to do right. They got to make this right. When they make this right, then you know it's all good. We understand one another a little better now. So you know, I hope this end well. You know what I mean? I'm praying that it end well. So and I think they want to do right by me. If I thought they just didn't want to do right by me, I would feel differently. But since I believe that, since I think that, then you know I'm leaving the door open for reconciliation moving forward.
And Wayne, you've always been cool with him, right? You guys never had any issues.
Well, you know, in that book, you know, I wrote about the issue I had with Wayne. You know what I mean? I explained the issue to Wayne that I had with him, and we fixed that. You know what I mean? We fixed that, and Wayne went on the stage in Houston, Texas, and made it clear to everybody that it was fixed.
Yeah. So the last, I got a last hip hop question, and then I want to talk boxing a little bit. I'm a huge boxing fan too. You, what are your views on hip hop right now in this day and age?
Well, you know, I'm proud of the young homies. You know what I mean? I think the foundation we laid back then, I think they got that mind frame where they want to own and run their own destination unlike ever before. You know, that side I like. You know, there's a side I don't like, the raise in the drug use. You know what I mean? I feel like they're gonna destroy themselves if they keep popping these Percocets and all these different pills, and you know what I mean? You know, there was a time we wanted to be drug dealers, now they want to be, you know what I mean, drug users. And neither one of them ain't a longevity situation, but you know, don't self-destruct, don't kill yourself popping all these different pills, and I like to see them have more respect for, you know, one another, themselves, and you know, the surroundings. You know, just suggesting that, I think they, you know what I mean, I love their movement, I love what they doing. So it's my 2 cents on that. Yeah.
Now, there's a little known fact that you used to work at a bank. Is that true?
Yeah.
How long did you work at a bank?
Man, I was a senior in high school.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I wrote about this story. I think I wrote about, it's under the chapter, A Blessing in Disguise.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it consists of me being put in my junior year, they put me in a typing class.
Okay.
And I'm like, I ain't signed up for this. You know what I mean? Get me out of this class. I don't want to be in no typing class. And on top of that, I was in there with a gay teacher.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that really threw me a loop because I felt some kind of way about them people at the time. You know, my elevator wasn't going all the way up.
Right.
And my spirituality hadn't fully bloomed. So I'm like, y'all gonna have some problems, y'all gonna get me out of this class with this teacher. But eventually, you know, I call it a blessing in disguise because for some reason they wouldn't let me get out.
Okay.
And I sit in that class like 3 weeks getting zeros, wouldn't cooperate, wouldn't participate. And one day the teacher came to me and said, you know, you fell in my class. And my love for not failing was stronger than my hate or whatever I had for this man. And I picked up and became like the second fastest typer in the class. You know what I mean? I done went up to 60-some words a minute, you know what I mean? And passed that class, and then the following year, I got so good until I came and they put me in office education. Okay. And they offered the top 3 students 3 jobs. 2 of them was with Exxon, one of them was with Colonial Savings. Okay. And I had a second, I was in line second to pick where I wanted to be. Of course, I picked the one that was different. Right. Colonial Savings. So that's how I ended up in the bank. Okay. You know what I mean? I ended up in the bank, and I was a teller assistant watching them, and then I spotted some counterfeit money, and they gave me a raise and put me in the vault. Right. You know what I mean? So I'm
in the vault with the money?
Well, I was in the vault with the money too, but this particular vault, they put me in the loan department. Okay. And I played around in there for a while, and one day I came to work and they laid the whole loan department off. Wow. And that's when I had a mind change about working for anybody else the rest of my life.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Business-wise, I know your boxing and I know your music. What other businesses do you have? I've heard a lot of stuff. Agriculture. I've heard.
Yeah. Condoms.
Yep, you know. That's right. You had Wayne in that.
Yeah.
That funny position. They had to revoke. They had all hip hop take all that there.
Oh man, I don't know why they.
The artwork. See, people don't. A lot of people don't remember that. We might just not even mention it.
Yeah. Wayne's solid. You know what I mean? He's solid. But yeah, the strap condom thing, real estate. You know what I mean? Play with real estate, and of course, I even tried the clothing business before. So yeah, I've diversified my portfolio, trying different things.
Why don't people get that? You got to have multiple revenue streams. I think we're just now starting to understand that. But you seem to understand that a long time ago.
Yeah, I think it's something that I don't think you have to have it. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a jack of a bunch of trades and a master of none. You know what I mean? But it's important to master one.
Right.
Because a lot of times when people try to go in areas where they're not gifted, they can lose everything that they are, acquired from another situation.
Right.
So you don't have to be that way, but make sure that one thing that you do, you perfect it. You know what I mean? And make sure that you are in line with your passions and your gift with whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
One of the things that I stay away from as an investor is something that's not on my playing field or what I'm doing. I don't want to place my bet on somebody else and they not as passionate about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't have good luck with them situations.
Yeah.
So, I try to have some skin in the game to the extent where, I'm accountable.
Right.
Some kind of way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So let's talk boxing. I'm a huge boxing fan. I had a site. I still have an Instagram called Knockout Nation. So I'm vested.
Yeah.
And I gotta definitely send a shout out to Diego Corrales because he's in this book and it was, his death was just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
He definitely has probably the #1 biggest comeback.
Oh man.
In boxing history.
Yeah.
Can you talk about him a little bit?
Yeah.
What he meant to you?
Yeah. Diego Corrales, of course, with Floyd Mayweather. I'll tell you a story what happened, how we got to Diego Corrales. When I was hired by Floyd, Floyd had called the HBO contract a slave contract, and HBO was pissed. Lou DiBella was the head at the time, and they was pissed about that, and everybody was, the promoters, everybody was upset about him calling that contract a slave contract. Now I just come on board and they blame me for it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I had to eat that, and I had to figure out a way to undo the situation that we was in. And after doing my due diligence and learning the playing field that I came into, the boxing world, I finally set up a meeting out here with Seth Abraham, president of HBO, to have a conversation with him to pick his brain and find out how can we go above and beyond this slave contract.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't call it that because I knew better, but I ended up having that conversation with him, and one of the things he said to me was Diego Corrales. He said this kid Diego Corrales, they felt like Diego could beat Floyd. He was the #1 at the time, and I was glad to hear that. You know what I mean? So I done some research on Diego myself and found out that he had just jumped on his wife, pregnant wife, gave her some kind of concussion.
Yeah.
And he wasn't doing a little drinking. You know what I mean? So I went to Floyd and I say, Floyd, I know you've been, criticizing this contract. Here's a way we can get around this and like triple, knock him off. He in our way.
Right.
And we got a triple situation. And I say it's perfect timing, Floyd, because this dude is distracted with, his woman. He done jumped on her. I said we can whoop him for every battered woman in the United States of America. So I'm trying to wire Floyd up, right, to be with me on knocking Diego off. No, Jay, we can't do that right now.
Right,
we can't do that right now. Floyd wasn't trying to see Diego at that time. And I talked to him for hours, and ultimately, like 5, 6 in the morning, I went home to go to bed. And when I woke up around 12, 11, I had a message for him. Bring him on, Jay. I hired you to handle my career. You feel like we need to do that? Bam.
Yeah.
So that sent me on the hunt to get Diego. After I got him, HBO at this point was feeling some kind of way. They said, well, we don't have a date right now.
Right.
So bam, I said, well, Floyd, here's what we're gonna do. Lennox Lewis fighting at the Mandalay Bay. We're gonna circle Diego. I want you to come and push him right in the press conference. We're gonna steal I learned all this in the music game,
Right.
right? We're gonna push him and steal the press, steal the show, and that's gonna put a little more emphasis on people wanting this fight. And just like we called it, is what happened. You know what I mean? That Sunday, we on the front page. We stole the show, and the doors open for the fight to take place.
Right.
Now, I'm gonna fast forward quick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at the fight, on the podium, I told Diego, we're gonna whoop you for every battered woman in the United States of America. Say, I got 2 tickets right here, one for your ex-wife and a new boyfriend. You know what I mean? So he looking at me like he hot.
Right.
You know what I mean? He hot. And I'm trying to get in his head, right? I'm trying to give Floyd all the help I can give him to do what he gonna do, because at this point I know he ready.
Right.
I done watched him train.
Yeah.
So Diego come to the mic, to the podium, and he ain't had nothing to say about Floyd, everything towards me.
Right.
I say, man, we're gonna whoop you for every battered woman. After that, you going to jail for what you done. We're gonna do to you what you done to your wife.
Right.
So bam, we get to the fight, Floyd do his thing.
Yeah.
I'm watching the fight. I'm watching Diego get knocked down 5 times and getting back up, getting back up. So bam, after that fight, all I could think about, this boy got hard.
Yeah.
I want to be in business with this boy.
Yeah.
I'm in the ring thinking this way, as you know what I mean, Floyd is celebrating. So what I done afterwards, I got with Floyd. I said, man, do you mind if I be in business with Diego? And he told me, no, Jay, just because I done that to him don't mean that somebody else can do that.
Right.
The boy bad. And I understood what had happened in his training camp. He been drinking, he been taking shortcuts.
Yeah.
So I called his wife and asked her if I could visit him, because he had went to the penitentiary. And she was like, man, if you go in there, y'all gonna fight. He hates you.
Right.
I said, well, let us fight. We'll get past that. You know, I
Yeah.
said, I want to meet him because I can help him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So bam, I went in the penitentiary, sit with Diego, and he was being cold to me at first until one of his homies that he looked up to, that ran things in the penitentiary, came, and he knew who I was, came and showed respect and told him, man, you lucky this man coming in here to even visit you.
Yeah.
And bam, we signed a deal right there.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
and when he got out, I took him to championship
That's-
all over again, became a millionaire all over again, and you know what he done to Castillo.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
dope. Do you have a good relationship with Floyd? I know one of your guys works with Floyd on the music side.
Yeah.
How's y'all's relationship?
Yeah, Red Boy. Me and Floyd cool. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Floyd is a little homie. You know, I inspired him. You know, I'm inspired by what I see him doing.
Yeah.
And we good right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that boxing is pretty gangster. You know what I'm saying? People that goes all the way back. How have you been able to endure the boxing game?
Well, you know, boxing is a cutthroat business, just like the music business.
Yeah.
When I came over to boxing, I was right at home. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Right.
because you're dealing with homies out of the hood.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with the same, you know, quality of people. It's just different rules. And, you know, I figured out how to adjust real quick.
Okay. All right. Final words. Do you have any advice? Any, what would you, what impart some wisdom on the people as we conclude this interview?
I got this new book called The Art and Science of Respect, and I couldn't have given it to you no plainer than,
Right.
you know what I mean? I have this book you can read. If you can't read, I have audio.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Y'all can listen to me read, you know, line by line, you know what I mean, in my voice. And hey, this is the best thing since water.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
All right,
Appreciate
brother.
you.